whether you're 6 months away from retiring or 6 years. At some point, you have to start thinking, how do I give notice? How do I tell my boss? How do I tell the organization that my time's come and I'm going to be retiring? Should you give a year's notice? Should you give 6 months? Should you give 3 months? Should you give 3 weeks? It's an important question, and I've been a fee-only financial advisor for over 20 years. And so I've heard stories from the trenches from a lot of different folks. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the things to think about as far as, for you, how to give notice and how much notice to give. So the first thing is, this is going to depend on your situation. There are definitely some organizations that I think giving a year's notice is perfectly fine and you're going to be okay. Other organizations, if you give your boss a year's notice, they may say, you know what, we don't need a year's notice. You know, if you're working in retail and you're in a job where there's a lot of turnover in your job, they very well, if you give them a year's notice, they may say, hey, thanks for that much notice, but we only need 2 weeks. If you're in an executive role where you have a lot of responsibilities, you can be thinking to yourself, oh, there's no way that, you know, they're going to be able to get by without me. You know, they're going to be calling me for advice for the next 5 years. Well, you know what? That's your. I don't know if it's from the heart or the head, but that's your ego talking. You know, all of us are replaceable at work. You know, most of us, our companies survived before us, and they're going to do just fine after us. So I think the maximum you need to think about is a year. Again, that's a long, long time, and what you really don't want to have happen is for the organization to say, hey, thanks, but we only need 2 weeks notice. So you know your organization. If you're curious about how they're going to handle it, just look at how they've handled other people that have decided to leave. You know, did they work graciously with them? Did they appreciate having that much notice so that you could train who's ever going to be helping out and give a smooth transition? Or were those people sidelined, or even worse, told, hey, thanks for the notice, but you can leave early? Another thing that I think you need to think about is, you know, when are bonuses given out? Do you get a significant bonus? And if you do, is it likely that you're going to miss out on a bonus if you know, you'd hate to give notice when, if you had stuck around for 4 more weeks, you would have gotten, you know, 1 month's bonus. So you'd hate to give notice in that situation. So think about that. Another thing that people don't think about is 401k matches. Oftentimes you have to be an employee when the match comes. So if that's your situation, think about that as well. There might be a fun event happening at work that you like going to. If you're in sales, it's common for top salespeople to get a trip with the company president where you can bring your spouses. It's an all-expense paid trip, maybe to Caribbean island, Hawaii, wherever it is, a fun location. And if that's something that you and your spouse enjoy doing, think about that as well. You know, are you going to miss out on that? Now, I want you to be super careful. I've shared before, the 4 most dangerous words for a soon-to-be retiree is just 1 more year. And that can happen to any of us. And what I'm sharing here are these different benchmarks that take place by the month, right? Maybe you earn, you know, you're told what your bonus is in December, but it doesn't get paid out till January. And then maybe the 401k match doesn't happen till May. And maybe the company trip to a Caribbean island doesn't happen until September. And not only can you 1 more year yourself and look back and end up realizing you've given up 3, 4, 5 years of your retirement, but you can 1 month yourself into that situation as well. There's always 1 more thing. Okay, with that caution out of the way, the next thing is your health care. You know, is there a way to negotiate, hey, if I stay on for this transition, is there a way, you know, I can get my health care covered? Is there a way, because that's one of the big challenges for people that retire early, at least in the United States, is health care insurance until they turn 65. Is there a way that the company can help you out with that? Now, if there's not, you can buy health care insurance, of course. It doesn't have to come from your employer. So don't let that stop you, but it's one more thing to think about with that turnover. So those are some major things to think about. Now, another caution, in addition to the 4 most dangerous words to retirees, the biggest caution that I give people is, if you're 60 years old, you likely have unfortunately, less than 1,000 weeks of healthy active time remaining. So you want to leave on a good note, but you also want to take care of yourself and your family and take advantage of the youth of your senior years and those early years where you're going to be the healthiest and most active. You don't want to compromise and give up 2 or 3 years because, there's some target, there's some gift, there's some benefit at the end. Also, please, 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 don't stay at your job just because you say, I want to get my 20-year mark in. I want to get my 25-year mark in. I can tell you, as a family financial advisor for over 20 years, inevitably, 6 months after you retire or a year after you retire, that means absolutely nothing. So these year marks that really are just in our head, they really don't. Does it give you an extra benefit? Does it increase your pension? If it does, okay, great, then it's not irrelevant. But if it's just because it sounds good that I worked at this company for 25 years or whatever the number is, don't do that, because that's going to lead to regret. Again, the price that you're paying for that is giving up some of your healthiest and most active years, and I don't want to see that happen. Okay, getting back to the matter at hand is, how's your relationship with your supervisor, your boss? Are you guys personal friends? Do they have a long history of taking, of appreciating whatever sacrifice that you might be making and saying, hey, thanks for giving us 6 months notice or a year's notice, and I'm going to fight a little bit harder for you for a going away bonus or something like that, or they're going to make sure you still get to work on the type of assignments that you want to work on, or are you just a number in the organization? And if that's the case, how much notice should you give? I think 6 months is too much. Again, you have to make this decision for yourself, but for sure 3 months is plenty of notice, and maybe, depending on your job, maybe even just a month's notice if you work for an organization that has a history of not appreciating, of not taking care of their people, and maybe saying, thanks for the notice, but we don't need it. I don't want you to put yourself in a bad situation by trying to be gracious and trying to do, quote unquote, the right thing. The reality is business, and if we got hit by a bus tomorrow, our company would keep going. So only you can make the call. What type of organization are you working for? But you know what? For some people, 2 weeks, 4 weeks notice might be enough. For some people, if you don't get paid out for your vacation, think about, I'm going to take all my vacation before I leave. And don't feel guilty. You've earned that vacation. So it depends on your organization. If you work for a group that's taking care of you, I want, go ahead and give them more notice. Go ahead and bend over backwards to leave on a good note, but don't let that steal from you the youth of your senior years. And on that note, I want you to think about watching this video up here, which is 8 things I want you to think about stop doing as you approach 60 to enjoy your life more. Thanks for watching this video. Bye-bye.